What have the last few days taken out of you?
Look, it's just been a great time to reflect on what we've done, what the players have done, the staff have done. A lot of people involved in the club now, but obviously before us. It was just a really good time to be able to reflect and appreciate what the club's just done. It was huge in terms of wanting to make history and our own history, and the players have done that, and as I said, the staff have done that. So it's been a great couple of days.
And have you had a quiet moment for yourself just to reflect on it all?
Yeah, I mean, it was enjoyable, the celebrations, and then we gave the players time off. I think the most important thing was that they recovered well. So it's our first day back officially in today, but obviously, as a coach, you're always doing things. But look, as whenever you speak to someone, you're always talking around what we just did, and there's times that at home that you reflect and enjoy it. I'm sure that'll happen for a while, even though it's business as usual now, and we've got a game on Friday which we're looking forward to.
Have you watched it back yet?
Yeah, I watched it back. I watched bits and pieces a couple of nights ago, but I watched it properly yesterday from start to finish, and enjoyed the last part. That's probably about it.
Has the whole experience been better than you imagined it would be?
Look, I knew it would be amazing. It's been unbelievable. The experience and what we've just gone through was exactly what I thought. But plus more. There's no doubt. Coming back to East Hull and having that parade, and the amount of people that were there to welcome us back and congratulate us and celebrate with us, because they're part of it. Everyone's part of it. It's not just what we do. They help us as well. They pay their money every week. They support this club. They've done it for many, many years through some tough times. So the answer is I knew it would be like that. I was involved with the Rabbitohs. They hadn't won a comp for many, many years. I wasn't involved with the senior team at the time, but I knew that would live up to the celebrations and what they went through, and I knew we would too.
Has the magnitude of what you have achieved truly sunk in yet?
Look, it's probably one of those where it'll take some time. The difference with winning a Challenge Cup, for my job, in my role, is I need to look at the next job. The next job comes around pretty quick. So it's on Friday. And the next job was getting ready for today, when the players come back in. It was, obviously we had Jesse Sue's situation, which he got off. So there's things that we needed to look at straight away. So it'll take some time to, properly reflect. But, the most important thing now is Friday. If you win, a Super League Grand Final, it's a little bit different because you've probably got that time, that celebration that, throughout that week. You do some reviews with players, and then, you're probably off on a holiday with the family and things like that, where this is going into your next job, which is fun, which is, it's enjoyable.
Sure. I'll talk more about Jesse Sue in a moment, but did you have family over from Australia at the weekend?
I had a very close mate that came over. So he came over with his wife, which was awesome. So, they were here for literally a couple of days. They've gone to Italy for a couple of days, and, so it's just a in and out trip for them. It was great to have them.
What about your parents?
No, they actually, funny enough, my parents are separated, but they watched the game together, which was nice. So it's amazing what whole KR rugby league team can do, can unite families and bring families back together. So we had a bit of a joke around it, but it was really nice to see my mum and dad and my sisters watching the game together. Went down to my dad's place. Dad's just moved into a new place down the south coast, and mum and sisters went down there and watched it all together. So it was nice.
How emotional was your conversation with them when you got to speak with them after the game?
Yeah, look, it was. I think the emotion was probably more around players and my family over here. Naturally, it was beautiful and nice to speak to them. But it's probably, I took a moment the next morning to thank my boys and my wife, for everything that they've gone, sacrificed to come over, and that was emotional for me because, as I said, they've sacrificed, a hell of a lot to help me chase, my dream of doing what we've just done. But naturally, with the players, it was a special time.
What do they have to put up with then, Willie?
The family? Oh, look, I'm a big believer, mate. Family always comes first. I think Benji Marshall got criticised for saying something similar, earlier in the year. Family always should be number one, but for me, rugby league's a close second because you need to work so hard if you're a head coach because you've got 40, 50 players and staff and people that you truly care about. And it's probably the amount of time and effort and I suppose my mind, is spent a lot in the job, but I'll always make time for my family to make sure that, that I'm being the best father and husband I can be. So, yeah, you can do both. I remember someone said to me, it's difficult, but it's only difficult if you make it difficult. There's rugby league and, my family, as I say, will always be number one. I tell the players that as well, but rugby league certainly needs to be a close second because you need to put so much into it if you're going to get something out of it.
How much did your boys enjoy having the trophy between them in bed on Sunday?
No, my boys haven't yet. So
have they not? I've seen a picture of them.
No, the one you would have seen, maybe that's Neil Hudgell's grandkids, and
that was it. Yeah.
So yeah, Neil's put so much everything into this club for a long period of time, and the memories he's creating, with his grandkids and for his grandkids, and it's special. So yeah, they slept with the trophy, but my boys will get an opportunity. I was very fortunate the club allowed me to let my boys walk out, with us or with myself and the team. So that was a special moment and something that they won't forget, and neither will I.
In terms of now the reset, how big a challenge is that for you after the emotion of the last few days?
Comes back to again, I think it's an individual thing. I think you need to individually, we spoke about it this morning. Get yourself right, staff, players, everyone involved, because we've just gone through something really special. And for me, this Friday night's game is going to be, I think it's the biggest crowd of the year. So we've got an opportunity to be able to continue the celebration in terms of we're walking around with the trophy afterwards. We go lose that game and we don't perform. It's going to be pretty somber for us and the fans. So we want the fans to celebrate. We've had our time to do that. We want the fans to celebrate and enjoy it now. It's business. It's back to business for us. So we need to go and we need to put in a performance that we're proud of. Look, last week wasn't our best performance. We know that. So we're looking for a better performance this week, and then enjoy what goes with that. But as I said, if we don't perform well and you don't go win that game, then it'll soon be a pretty sort of somber mood, which we don't want for our fans.
It seems a bit churlish to talk about the performance in the Challenge Cup final, given that the outcome was what you wanted. But what needs to be better then, do you feel, going forward?
Look, I think we had a lot of errors. I think we had 11 errors, which is far too many errors too much in a big game like that. You can't give opposition teams like Warrington and teams like that the field position we did. I mean, Mark Sneed was exceptional. The way he kicked, put us in vulnerable positions, but we put a lot of pressure on ourselves as well. So it's not playing the occasion. Some of us might have done that. We need to. I thought our attack. We need to change a few things there when the weather's like it was. We did speak at half time. We're going to get a try from a kick. That's how we're going to get. They got theirs from a kick. But I thought our defence was exceptional. They threw a lot at us. They had pretty much double the amount of play the balls inside our 20 compared to theirs. So, look, it was a game that Warrington probably look back and go, we should have won. They were the better team for a majority of that. I think we were in patches in that game, in that first half. But it's what you do at the end of the game. We spoke about winning the game in the 79th minute, and that's what they did. Sure.
What sort of reaction are you expecting from Catalans then after beating them in York last month?
Yeah, look, Catalans, and they've said it, they haven't been great the past two games. So they've had a reset. They've been getting their best team back. The team that played us in the semi will be the team playing us again, with players coming back. And there's no doubt there's going to be a spike there. They've had time to freshen up, and, we're expecting the best Catalans team. So we need to make sure that they've got the best KR team. It's regardless of what we've just done, it's as I said, all we're focused on now is a strong performance on Friday.
And they've only lost once at Craven Park since 2018. Does that provide a sharp reminder of their capabilities?
Oh, we know what they're capable of, regardless whether we play them here or whether we play them over in France. You look at their team on paper, it's probably one of the best in the competition. So we're certainly not taking them lightly. We know what they're capable of. As I say, just look at the individuals in their team. They're very good, and they've done it for many years.
And what do you feel what do you feel the key now is, Willie, to riding the crest of this wave that you're on between now and the end of the season to add further silverware?
Just seek improvement. Keep improving. Don't stand still. It's important now that we're not happy with what we've just done. The feeling that we all went through is addictive. You know, it's a feeling that you can only explain by doing it. Like, you can only feel it by experiencing it. It was amazing. So if you're happy just to do it once, then you're not going to obviously succeed, or it's not going to happen again. You know, we want to be improving every day. That's what I'm looking for from the players. I'm looking for who wants to improve, who wants to get better, because we know that's not going to cut it in terms of the rest of the year in the Super League and winning the Super League. We've got an opportunity, like everyone else at the moment, to go after a Super League trophy, but there's a lot of work to be done. But, you know, if I narrow it down, it's just look for improvement. Just keep wanting to improve and get better.
And do you feel your players have got that within them?
Of course they do.
Yeah. Let's talk about last night's tribunal hearing. How relieved were you with the outcome of that?
Yeah, obviously relieved, because you never know what the outcome's going to be. But yeah, really happy with what happened, with the outcome.
What did you say in mitigation that made the difference, do you think?
Look, I'll leave that to the guys that did it, Neil Hudgell and people smarter than me. You know, I know Jess's character, so all I was worried about was Jesse. I know his character. I know what he's about. I know, you know, he's a family man. He's a leader amongst our team. He's really well respected. Never had anything like that before. So that's what I know about Jesse Sue, and I'm just glad that people saw it that way.
How surprised then were you that there was a charge in the first place?
Well, I wasn't surprised, because if a player says that, you know, that he got spat on, then it's always going to go to the tribunal. So it is what it is. I mean, yeah, if the player felt that that's what happened, then of course he's going to say to the referee, this is what happened, and then they've asked, do you want to take it further? He said yes. So that's all part of it. So it's just part of the process of, you know, the next step would be going to the tribunal.
On the injury front, how did you come out of the weekend?
Look, we had Jared go into the game. He shouldn't have played. He had a calf issue, so it's a 4-week injury for him. So he shouldn't have played. Mickey Mack shouldn't have played. So he's going to be another 3 weeks. So courageous what those guys did. You know, people don't know. Well, you know, they knew about Mick, but obviously with Jared, there was risk involved. We knew that. But the players that they are, we knew that most probably were not going to get through, but we knew they were a big chance of getting through because they can handle certain things that others can't. So those two won't play for a little bit. Joe Burgess, we've got some good news on him, so he'll only be a week, but hopefully back next week.
How will you change things around then for this game, given the absences that you've got?
Like we've done, we've had Mickey out for a long time. We've had Jared out, only a few weeks ago. Joe's had time out, so we'll just do what we normally do.
And for those that aren't too familiar with that, what will you do, for example, on the wing with Joe being out?
We're naming the team at 12 o'clock, so you don't have to, or squad at 12 o'clock, so you don't have to wait too long.
Okay. Mickey obviously returned, didn't he, at the weekend? You say he's got a further 3 weeks now on the sidelines to be back to where he should be at.
Yeah, so there was obviously a risk involved there of possibly rupturing it again. So we had to make the call, and essentially it was him at the end of the day whether he wanted to take that risk. And the game being a cup final, and it's his last one. We spoke about the potential risk of it happening again and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, he played, got through it. So now we need to make sure that he's healed. The best he can, which will be about 3 weeks.
How did Bill Leyland react to that? Because obviously he was the one who missed out, didn't he?
Yeah, Bill's at the start of his career, so he handled it, like any young guy that's only played a handful of games, like I'd expect him to, and he's hungry to play more, which is great. But when you got the opportunity to put a guy like Mickey Mack in, I think it's at this stage of Bill's career, I'm sure he did understand.
You've got Arthur back, haven't you, this week? Will he resume kicking responsibilities after Mikey's excellent efforts at Wembley?
Yeah, he probably won't be able to get the ball off him now. Arthur will kick again, so he's been kicking well. But we know Mikey can kick as well, so we're in a better position than what we were previously there.
Some loan movement at the club. What more can you tell us over the course of the last 24 hours?
Yes, AJ Wallace has gone to Toulouse, so he's going there for the rest of the season. Just get opportunity, to play, and then we'll see where he's at. Obviously he's off contract this year, so it'd be a good opportunity for him to put himself out there a little bit as well.
Any other loan movement at all?
Connor Barley's still maybe in London.
Will that loan be extended at all? Because I think it's coming towards the end, if not at the end of his initial.
I think it's his last week from. So look, we've got a week to week with London, so it was just we end up doing a loan for a month. So that one's an ongoing one. So whenever if London wanted Connor next week, then we'd allow that to happen.
Well, I really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you. Cheers. Is that it?
Job, anyone else want to jump in?
Hey, Willie, you all right?
Hey, Sam. Hey, mate.
I just wanted to ask about kind of like reflecting on the 2023 final. I know going into it, you drew on that experience and you maybe changed little things and stuff. After the 23 final, you lost to St Helens, but then went on a winning run until the end of the season. But obviously, it was only like 6 weeks to go for the end of the season, so it was easier to get that sustained run. How do you approach it this year now that there's about 14 weeks to go?
Yeah, look, I know it's cliche, but you need to narrow it down and just we're gonna probably do some blocks, and our first initial block will be a 2-week block because we've got short turnarounds. We've got a 6-day turnaround from the Challenge Cup, and then we've got another 6-day turnaround against Cass. You can't look too far ahead. That's a definite, because if you look too far ahead, you lose sight of what's happening. And look, I'd like to think where this team is now with the growth and the experience that they know that they need to be on every week. If you're not on for a game in the Super League, you're going to get beaten. So, we need to just continue what we do, which is we have a strong focus of training well, previewing and reviewing thoroughly. So we'll continue that. But it's also important, I think, give players time away from the club as well, just to freshen up. It's really important, because when you've got 14 weeks to go, whatever it is, it's a long time. But we've got a break in about 6 weeks' time. The players will get a good amount of time off there. But that's the position that we wanted to be in. We wanted to be playing every week, so we're grateful for that.
Just on Tyrone May, I think obviously he creates the try. I think I'm not sure what the tackle stats are, but I'd be surprised to see that if he wasn't in the top tacklers, which is something he does every week. I think he's probably the best defensive half in the comp. Does that performance on Saturday affect his contract situation or not? I know he's obviously declared his NRL interest, and he went to play with his brothers, but does that change it from your point of view?
Look, no, it never changed from our point of view. We value Tyrone. We love what he brings. I think he made about 28 tackles on the weekend, and like you say, there were some key tackles there. We'll have some news around Tyrone, and he'll be able to share with you, and we'll be able to share with you shortly.